Hi there, this is Gary Dranow from Park City, Utah. Welcome to the Gary Dranow Show, coming to you from YouTube and radio stations across the nation. Come hang out with me and my guests while we talk about music, life, and reality. Hey everybody, Gary Dranow here, and welcome back to All Things Music and the Gary Dranow Song Lab. We're going to do a deep dive into the soul of music, songwriting, and people who live it every single day. Today we're going straight into the heart of real rock and roll. Not polished, not manufactured. I'm talking about the gritty downtown backbeat-driven sound that built the foundation of everything we love. And joining me today is Dennis and Don from Density Blackat. These guys bring back the raw New York City energy, CBGB's, Max Kansas City, the whole underground lineage into modern sound that still hits hard today. Dennis and Don, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much, Gary. What a pleasure to be here.
Can you see how excited we are?
Everybody sees how excited you are.
Yeah, well, our minds are exploding as you look at us. Yeah.
So we were just talking before we went into the record mode, and we were talking about fossil rock and rollers and or blues guys. And Don, you were going to tell me the first time you saw Buddy Guy.
I saw the Buddy Guy Blues Band at the Philadelphia Folk Festival in 1968. That was a year before.
Oh my God, he was absolutely on top of his game.
Yes. So I go to the Philly Folk Festival, which was a year before Woodstock, and they have a great lineup of great people on the show. And one of them was the Buddy Guy Blues Band, which was a little bit of a standout when most of them were like folk people at this show. Great folk people. Mm-hmm. I was blown away by Buddy Guy, and it was in the evening, and with the humidity and steam, there was like smoke coming off his head while he was playing, natural. It was great. I've never forgotten it. Buddy Guy is great. I know that he's influenced Eric Clapton and all the greats. He's the real deal, and he's still around. We have to be thankful.
Well, and he wrote the song that Stevie Ray Vaughan made famous. Mary Had a Little Lamb. Buddy Guy came up with that version of the song.
You can never, no matter how avant-garde you think you are, we're still just playing what we heard when we were younger and what's in our souls and hearts. It just comes out. We can't control it. So we're not a straight blues band, but we have blues influence.
Well, blues influences everybody in every way because it's really one of the roots of rock and roll. So
it's an American treasure, and the thing that's amazing about it is nobody else in the entire world can do this because it came from right here in our country. Simple as that.
From the Delta to the city, blues made its pathway. Robert Johnson to T-Bone Walker, and anyways, let's not get into the blues. Let's talk about rock and roll. So you guys have been together for how long?
Well, officially as Density Blackat, it was towards the New Year's Eve of 2023. Our first official show with that name was New Year's Eve night 2024 to the new year of 2024.
Okay, so pretty recent actually.
But in this iteration, but before that, we were playing together for many years.
Yes,
we actually had two bands, and we both played in each other's band. And then we came up with a brainstorm one day. Hey, let's stop confusing people. Let's have one band, and we melded it together. So actually, we've been playing together for a lot longer, probably since 2015.
And did you bring members from each band into the new band, or was just the two of you, and then you got new players?
We merged kind of early. From my recollection, Don Blackat and friends was a band that Don had been playing with just before Density Blackat. And I had a band, Density, and we began to merge our members together early on with the Don Blackat and Friends. And I recall we had a show up in Boston. You might know this person, Dan Anklin. He's a great booker promoter from up in Boston. And he heard each of our bands separately, loved the bands, and he booked, but by that time we had merged and he didn't know this. And he booked the two separate bands up in Boston. And we said, we're pretty much the same members of both bands. And I think he might have come up with, well, I'll just call you Density Blackat rather than Density and then Don Blackat and Friends.
But once we merged, it was seamless.
Yes.
And the two gentlemen that you see there, Gas Wild with the big hat and Mitchell Zaring, they were playing with us for years also. So it's been a seamless
So you're a
transition.
four-piece?
Four-piece band, yep.
Yes.
And so two guitar players or guitar player and keyboard? What do you got?
Dennis plays guitar, I play guitar, Gas plays drums, and Mitchell is bass.
Got it. Okay, so a power quattro.
Yeah, kind of like the Beatles.
The Beatles and every other band that came in with the English invasion.
Yep.
Now, I don't know how old you are. You look like a young man compared to me.
I'm
You're
72, man.
Okay, all right. So we're all in the same sphere of influence. And
we're baby boomers.
We're baby boomers. Think about all those great bands that we listened to.
Oh, yeah.
From the Beatles on, when the door opened and there was an avalanche of bands. And it was that four-piece lineup, to me, is again a great American invention. Think about it, putting the drums, bass, and two guitars together with a vocalist. It sounds so simple, but look how it's persevered and evolved. Yet it's still simple. But it's everything we've ever heard is pretty much off that thing, whether it's a soloist who then plays with people on stage, whatever. But a four-piece band, that does it for us, and it's nimble. We can move quickly.
Got it. My band's a four-piece band. Well, I've got a kind of interesting situation. I own a production company, so I have world-class players in Ukraine and Australia. But I also have a band up here in Park City, and we're a four-piece with me on guitar and vocals. I got a fantastic drummer, fantastic bass player, and my keyboard player keeps right up with me. So it's cool. And it's amazing how much music four guys can make, huh?
It is amazing, and we have a resident sax player that plays with us when he's available or when we need him. And he's busy playing in the city all the time. Danny Ray, he's great. And he just sits in with us. And then we suddenly become a rock and roll band on steroids with that extra wailing sax.
Well, I got to tell you, one of my dreams is to have a horn section. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've been blessed that sometimes when we have the sax, we also have this trumpet player named Matt Golihan, who's got records out all over. And this guy is another great player. So when the two of them are playing with us, me and Dennis look at each other and go, how did we get here? Who are these guys? But they're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
have you guys played in Europe, or did I make that up?
No,
not yet.
Not yet. That's right.
Yeah.
I like the not yet. I like that.
Not yet.
Right. But one of our members, Gaz, he's from England. And
yeah, so he's played.
He's played Europe, but it's the reverse. He played in Europe, then came to America.
Got it. My story is I was driving. My mom was driving me up Ventura Boulevard in the San Fernando Valley. And this turned out to be the first time it came on the radio was Cream's live version of Crossroads. And I said to my mom, this is what I got to do. Turn around and take me to Ernie Ball of Guitars, which was just 2 miles down the road, down the street. And she turned around. We went to Ernie Ball's, and I walked out with the 1967 Stratocaster, and this was in early 1968. As a matter of fact, the Crossroads, live Crossroads, was recorded on my birthday, March 10th, 1968. So, so we walked out with a 1967 Stratocaster and a Champ amp. And the one thing is the salesperson said, if I sell you this guitar, you could never sell it. And I kept it. I still have it.
You answered my question that I'm thinking. I pray that you still have it.
Wow.
I got it. I've got, I've slimmed down from 87 guitars to 74 guitars.
Wow.
Well, look around here. I got about 35 guitars.
Yeah, I'm. Is that a Gretsch Country Gentleman, the red one there?
That one behind us there is the Chet Atkins 6120, the fat one with the one that like the great rock and rollers were playing. You know,
but it's a Gretsch, right?
It's a Gretsch, and it's not a 1957.
Yeah, boy, that's got to be worth some money. That's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Dennis, what do you play? What guitars?
I'm playing actually one of Don's guitars. He has such beautiful guitars, so it's
when we do our show and you see some pictures, he's playing a 1955 Gibson Les Paul Special double P90 pickups in TV colored.
Yeah.
So
TV, and those are near priceless now.
Oh my gosh!
It's funny that you mentioned the cost of it, because I never had any money to go out and buy these guitars new or even used. I collected and traded. I would get one, get another, trade it for another. So my collection, which has what I showed you before, and there's some fine guitars, they were all gotten by putting together the nickels, change from my coin change in my car, trading a couple of guitars that I got at garage sales. Now I have guitars that I couldn't afford at all.
Well, they're beautiful guitars. And before we came on the show here, Don showed me a 1940 something ES 175, which is the holy grail of jazz guitars. Here it is.
This is the 1954.
1954?
Yes.
That's the year I was born.
I know. So it's your twin. This guitar it's in natural, and they only made, from my research, 300 of them. So this is one of 300 guitars like that.
My God.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's got to be worth 15, 20 grand. It's got to be at least in that range. But
go ahead. Ask us questions and we'll answer them if we can.
Tell me.
Tell you, when you talk about what these guitars are worth, they're worth everything to you, me, and Dennis. Like, you'll never part with that 67 Strat that you got, or whatever year it was. You'll never part with it. But
no,
it's the value comes into who wants to get it from you. And then when they just auctioned off David Gilmour's Strat, and it went for $4.5 million or more, some crazy amount of money.
I think it was
16 or 15 million. It was
black Strat, you know?
Yeah, black Strat that went for, Dennis corrected me, I think it was almost 15 million. And you'd think to somebody it was worth 15, 16 million, but the guitar itself probably cost $150 when it was new, $200.
Yeah. I mean, the 67 Strat I got, we paid $175 for it.
Oh, there you go. That's what they cost. And and that was a stretch for your mom when you went to the store.
Actually, no. But I had a 1955 Stratocaster that, like a moron, I sold to Carlos Santana.
You sold to Carlos? Wow.
Well, wait a second. I'm going to call Carlos right now and tell him to sell
Go
it
ahead.
back to you.
Go ahead. Actually, my manager, Larry DeVoskin, you look him up, check his Wikipedia page out. He is very good friends with Carlos, and I keep asking Larry to ask Carlos about the guitar, and he goes, "What guitar?" I mean, apparently he's got a warehouse full of them, so you know.
All of those guys like that, or Jeff Beck, or any of them, they don't have 10 guitars, 30 guitars, 50. They got a warehouse, as you say, of guitars.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. And they get them. They had disposable income when they were on the road. So if someone shows them something, they go, "I'll take it. I'll buy it."
So was there a moment where you guys knew this wasn't just a band, this was your sound?
I think for me, right from the get-go, because we knew, as Don said, we've been hanging for a while. Gas was playing in my band Density for quite some time, and Mitchell started with me right from the start. I was coming out of the woods after a long hiatus of playing in earlier bands. Came around as a acoustic solo player, met Mitchell this way. He sat in on bass and a drummer, and that's kind of how the band started. And I was already happy with Mitchell playing my songs, and Gas would constantly give me great compliments on my songwriting. And so there was a special, and then once we just discussed this at our last show Monday night. Gas came over to me. We had an unexpected great turnout at our show. We've had like blizzard conditions for quite some time. And Monday we're thinking, oh, finally it's not raining.
Is it still cold?
Well, it's a chilly spring day today, which is quite nice compared to...
Yeah, and up here in Park City, we've had the worst snow year in recorded history.
Wow, yeah, it's
and
crazy.
Here we are, March, where we usually have 7 feet of snow. My lawn is green.
Wow. Well, I was just saying, despite the bad weather we had on our show on Monday, the winds were like gale-like conditions, but we had a good turnout. And the people reacted so warmly. People are kind of just looking to escape. They're at the bar and they're talking loud, understandably. But when we started playing, you could see their heads turn. They stopped talking, and little by little, they're shaking in their seats. And then next thing we know, they're standing up dancing. And that's one of the things we treasure and love the most, when we make people move like this.
Oh, absolutely.
We feel we really connected. But after the show, Gas said something to me about our singing together. He goes, "Dennis, I love singing with you on your songs." And I said, "Gas, as soon as the first time we played together, I heard it immediately. It's not like we practiced it. It was a real blessing that I felt our voices blended so well together as one." And a few people have complimented us either separately or to us together that, "Wow, love your guys singing and everything." And Gas, by the way, is the drummer. So he puts it really out there. He's got a powerful drumming as well as a powerful singing voice.
And a little background on Gas. Gas is like our age, and he's been around the block 216 times. He was with Chrissy Hines when they formed the Pretenders.
Oh,
back
really?
That's his friend. The Pretenders. So he was with them when they were in the nation form, and then they went their separate ways. And
they're still friends.
They're still friends. So when she comes to New York, they chit chat and rub elbows together.
All right, that's a fantastic story. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a book out, isn't there?
Yeah, you'll see some more stuff about with Gas, but he's had a good history, but it's all been blended. And then we said, how do we describe our band? And I said, it's backbeat with a groove. If you really boil it down, and if you've got a backbeat, you're a musician. If you've got a backbeat in your band, you're already ahead of the game.
Absolutely.
It tunes into the people, and as
creates
Dennis said,
the pocket, and everybody commiserates and collaborates in real time. That's the way it's got to be. Okay, we got to take our first break, guys. So we'll be right back with Density, Blackat, Don, and Dennis. So back in 2 minutes. it's Don and Dennis from Density Blackat, and these guys are interesting cats. So Dennis is going to give us a little background on Density Blackat, or Density.
Yes, people have been curious, where did you get this name Density from? And it's quite simple, nothing too sophisticated about it. But at one time, I was simply a singer-songwriter on an acoustic guitar, started a band little after that, and the person, a good friend of ours, Ann Hussick, also a great singer-songwriter, has a band. I'll give her a plug. It's called Exit 99, NYC. She was booking great shows at a attended place called Sidewalk Cafe. And I played to a very nice audience. She said, gotta have you back. And I just had a bassist and a drummer, Mitchell on bass, and a guy named Mick Oakleaf on drums. And she's booked me as the Dennis Doyle Band. And I don't know why, but it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I said to myself, I want like a cool name. If I'm going to be playing with a band now, it wasn't really on my radar to start a band, but if I am, I want a cool name for my band. And I want a name that doesn't have like the in front of it. I want like just one word, something like Nirvana.
Nirvana, yeah.
Something like one word. And she said, well, you got 2 weeks to change a name because otherwise you're going to be the Dennis Doyle Band. I said, all right, I got to get cracking. And I had all this pressure suddenly. And I'm thinking of these words. I can't recall some of the words I came up with, but they were already taken. And I came up with this word, density. I said, let me try density. And I did a Google search. I'm kind of new back then. This goes about around 2013, 2014. And I really was not, I knew about Facebook, but I was never on it really. And so I did a search on Google for density, and everything was about science and density, blah, blah, blah. And I said, this is unbelievable. There's no band with a name Density. I'm going for that. So I told Ann Hussick, and I thought that was simple, so simple, Density.
Yeah.
That's how
I got it. It turns out to be a heavy thing.
Well,
It's heavy.
So Mitchell knows all about the universe, black holes, and real density.
Yes, yeah. But it got to be, I was a little annoyed because now I realize people are like, they don't understand it right. Like, oh, what? So like here, we're playing at a show. Everybody's dancing to our music. A woman who great violinist happens to live upstairs. She goes to me one day. She goes, I always thought your name of the band was Dance City. I said, well, where did you get that from? She said, well, I came into the club and I see all these people dancing, and I didn't know it was you guys playing. And I asked someone in the crowd, what's the name of this band? She goes, I don't know. I think it's Dance City.
So there we were, Density. He was Density, and I had a band called Don Blackat and Friends, which evolved from the Blackats NYC. And so I was given the nickname Don Blackat. So then me and Dennis put our heads together. And be careful when we put our heads together. You don't know what we're going to say. But it turned, we said, we're making ourselves crazy. Density Blackat.
And I'm so happy. At first, I was confused by it. Like, maybe it's going to be too much mouthful words. But my wife is from overseas, and she thought it was very interesting. She said, it's like, I can't put my finger on it, Dennis, but I think it makes sense. Rather than change your name and you're the same people, why not combine the names? That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with it because now I see the uniqueness of our name. If you type us in Google or wherever, it easily comes
right up, right?
You can find us.
Never thought of that before, but it's so important that And as we were saying earlier, Mitchell, he knows so much the science part of it. And it's just fantastic. So I came up with this logo. I'm a graphic designer before falling full-time in the music world. I'm a retired graphic guy, but now I do all my graphics for our band, which I enjoy very much to do. And I came up with this logo in a way which is a burst. And I incorporated that logo. That logo was for density alone. And then when we have density Blackat, I put 2 cat eyes inside. I wanted to keep it simple. Mitchell, who has a great history of playing in other bands throughout the years, more on the heavy metal side, he feels, I got so complimented. He said, Dennis, your logo it's one of the best band logos I've ever seen. It's so identifiable.
Where is it? You got to show it.
It's probably on the back of, I'm guessing on the back of the Dark Star EP. You probably don't have it.
Yeah, I don't have anything handy.
I'd have to get my phone.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look
don't
for
worry
it.
about it.
Yeah, I'll look for it, but it's basically a burst with a pair of cat eyes. And I feel it's like a takeoff on the old commercials like Tide washing cleanser, and it's like beat it out with Tide or All, and all those if you recall those washing machine and things you wash your clothes with, and it just was a takeoff on, like, it's a burst of rock and roll energy, and that's how I envision that logo.
And the bottom line is people respond to it, they love it, and they remember it.
So that is that's the key to the kingdom, right there.
Yes, and combining the density with the Blackat is just fantastic. It has a more of a direct rock vibe about it.
So what are your plans? How old do you plan to still be playing? I mean, for me, I'm going to die with a guitar in my hand. My mom is 100 years old, a little over 100 years old.
Oh, God bless her.
And I figure I've got 20 to 30 years maybe in me. Maybe. We'll see. But Buddy Guy, we were talking about Buddy Guy, he's still going at, I think he's 90 now?
Yeah. I agree with your prediction. We're going to keep playing until we can't play. I'm going to quote Miley Cyrus. She had a song, "Won't Stop, Can't Stop," was one of her songs. And that's what it comes down to. People like us in the band and yourself, you don't wake up any day and say, you know what, I think I'm going to voluntarily stop doing this because I'm going to go spend more time in my garden, or I'm going to go polish my shoes or pet my dog.
Or I'm going to start making AI music.
What was that?
Or we're going to start making AI music, Suno and Udio and
it's music is really incredible in that it brings people in that don't have to know each other. They hear that vibe, that pulse, that what's in the universe. And then, we start playing, and as soon as we start the first song and we got that backbeat and the groove, we're greasing the groove, we're playing the backbeat. People walking in the bar, they come in there to get a beer, and then suddenly they go, "What is that?" And they go, and they get hooked. It's simple.
That you guys have that ability is special. Because I've interviewed a lot of bands, and not many of them have said, we start playing and people from the bar, next thing you know, they're dancing. That's just a fantastic story.
Yeah, it is. And I always tell people, I said, look on the first Beatle album that we saw with the picture, the black and white with the 4 faces and the shadows, and you look at what they wrote on it. It said, "The Big Beat Band from England." And I said, that was really summing it up. It was the big beat, the big backbeat. That's Ringo. Ringo is the greatest drummer along with a few others, but he gets right to it. And you stick with that backbeat and that groove, and all our songs fall into place. It's like putting it in a blender. Broop, there it is.
Okay.
Absolutely. I found our logo. It's actually one of our T-shirt designs. And this is a picture of a great friend of ours, great supporter of our music scene in here in downtown Manhattan. His name is Alan Rand.
Photographer.
Fantastic photographer. Just about every photograph you see of these bands was taken by this beautiful gentleman. So this is him here wearing our shirt. I don't know if you can see that okay.
Yeah, I see it quite clearly.
Yep. So that's our logo. And we plastered. Mitchell said, "Yeah, use it wherever you can." So people, what our hopes is, or Mitchell had said, we should just show this logo without even our name. This one has, of course, it has our name, but we have the logo also without any text. It's just the burst with the eyes. And he feels at one point people will just need to see that, and they'll associate it with us right away. So that would be fantastic.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
So
there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. You got a little close up wherever it is. There it is. That's it.
We got it. We got it.
Oh, thank you.
Very good.
It might be on the back of our EPs as well. And
but to answer your other question before, we're and you're going to chuckle at this. We're just getting started. And that kind of attitude every day we go, whatever we want to do tomorrow, we should have did yesterday. And we're working on multiple things. We're busy recording our next single. We've had 5 singles out already. They've done very well.
Where are you recording?
We record in a private studio out here on Long Island. And
okay.
And it's good because it's comfortable. And people who know music and bands, you don't want to go into a big anonymous studio where you're just like, you're there, let's get them done and out. We go to a place where we're enveloped by creativity, and we can do what we're doing right now with you. We could sit and talk about things, and we get so much done. And the proof is in the pudding. Listen to this song and the 3 before it. And then
yes, thanks to Mark Platt, he's getting the songs out there, and he has no control how it's going to do once it's out there, as far as I understand. And quite a few within a short time of the release are in the top 10.
All of them have made top 10, several of them.
Even this Dark Star. So
I'm with you guys. I'm in one chart. I am 1 and 2. So
that's fantastic. Congrats.
Thank you.
It is.
And I'm doing a big push for terrestrial radio. You know what terrestrial radio is, right?
Yeah, regular radio.
Regular FM. Yeah. So I'm doing a big push to get my music on regular FM and Sirius XM.
Mm-hmm.
Good luck. Good luck to you.
Yeah, good luck. I need it.
Well, that would be great. One of our good friends, another band, Deep Drags, fairly new, and one of their songs got right on to Sirius.
Yeah,
really excited for them.
That is exciting.
I think I'm not sure, but I think Mark Platt was their connection.
Mark Platt's done a fantastic job, so we can't thank him enough.
We all love Mark Platt. Don't we love Mark Platt? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Earlier you mentioned the song Crossroads, which warped your mind when you were driving with your mom down Ventura Boulevard. Back in the terrestrial radio heyday, when WNEW was the station that went playing albums on and went to FM, and it suddenly changed radio forever. And I remember when Wheels of Fire came out, Disraeli Gears and Fresh Cream, but when Wheels of Fire, that was one of the first records that they promoted round the clock, but you had to wait. You had to wait hours to hear a cut from it. But when they played the live version of Crossroads from I forgot where they recorded it, the Winter Ballroom or somewhere, the Fillmore East or West, that song, for whatever reason, epitomized what everybody was enthralled about with the British blues, and Eric Clapton was already God, and now he was a bigger God. He was a super God. And I hear that on the radio in the car, along with other songs like that Landmark songs. I go right to the volume. It goes up, and you listen to it. and no matter where you hear it, you listen to it. So it got you to buy a Fender Strat, which you still have, and you'll never part with it, and you'll never stop liking music, and you'll never stop playing music.
No, it's been a 60-year plus love of my life. So no matter what I did in my life, which was sports and businesses, music was always the undertone, always. What I love about what you're doing is it doesn't feel nostalgic, it feels alive. What do you guys think about that sentiment?
That is a very good observation, because we play shows, and younger people will come up to us and they'll go, we weren't around to go to CBGB's or Max's and listen to the Dolls and those bands back then. We knew them and we played with them, but you're playing downtown New York City rock and roll, but it sounds new. It's both new, but it's not. We're not like a nostalgia act. We're playing new stuff that just pays homage to that kind of music. And and I know that once you hear an electric guitar playing with drums and bass and a vocalist, you get the goosebumps, and goosebumps tell you like it, what you hear, and you'll never forget it.
Yep, we're
Yes,
projecting
sir.
the future of this. We project a future life to the music that inspired us from the past.
Yeah.
Let's talk about New York, NYC, because there's something about the city. It's either breaks you or it makes you dangerous. Either breaks you or makes you dangerous in a good way. You guys clearly carry that DNA. How much sound came from the city itself?
I would say most of it, because New York City is just what you said. It's a love-hate relationship, because it's such a big, overwhelming place that you feel like you're pushing against the tide just to survive. But when you move in little steps, and we started playing back in the 70s at these clubs, you start to make some progress, and then suddenly you realize that you're absorbing all of that's around you, and it's in the music. And anybody who comes here, New York City is very welcoming. You could come to New York or somebody tomorrow, and they become a New Yorker that day. New Yorkers don't hold anything against anybody. You become a New Yorker, and
Right.
It's tough, and it's tough, and it filters into the music, and there's a New York vibe, and that's why we're really proud of it. And we push it every chance we get, that this is downtown New York City rock and roll. That simple and that complex and that historical.
I'm thinking, so you came up about the same time the Dolls were playing, and punk was happening. So what do I want to ask you?
Let me put it in perspective.
How much was your music influenced? What we haven't talked about? Describe your genre.
Our genre?
Yeah. What is? I mean, I've kind of described it, but I want to hear from you what your genre is, and is it multiple things? Is it one thing?
Well, that's part of the reason I thought of the density was a good fit, because it collides. That's a word I discovered to use. It collides a lot of our influences into our sound, which would be, for me, it might be slightly different. Now, again, we're four people joined together. I'm giving you my background. Influences of obvious for me is garage rock from the early 60s, folk rock. We're blending blues and urban blues, Delta blues,
Chicago blues,
punk rock.
Yeah.
So, and then any other thing that I can come up in my head, I'm sure it's in there as well. Goth rock, dark, goth, all have influenced me in some way or another. And some people will tell me, Dennis, when you sing, I hear I hear Bob Dylan, I hear Johnny Rotten, I hear, and these are things that don't shock me because
When we were in the recording studio, I'd say to Dennis, I said, Dennis, are you going to be Bob Dylan today, or are you going to be Tom Jones today? And you might laugh. And somebody overheard a playback, and they came into the studio and they go, "That's a great song. It sounds like David Bowie, or it sounds like Lou Reed."
Yep.
Well, you know what? They're all right, because it sounds like all of that.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to mimic anyone.
No.
It's just, as Don said, it's in the DNA of my growing up listening so much to music. I started a bit later actually playing, probably. I mean, I always enjoyed tinkering with guitars and piano, but I never took it anything further than that until I had met a good friend of mine, and we began to collaborate only because when we were so young, everyone was playing cover music. That's one of my areas I cannot do. I've always been composing songs on my own because that was the way I started to learn to play. I couldn't, I would sit down and try to say, learn F sharp minor, and it was driving me nuts. I have no patience. So what did I do? I write a song that uses F sharp minor, and it just gave me a nice way to learn how to play the chord. And that's how I started, not knowing at the time, like, wow, I'm writing songs and all this stuff.
Well, listen, guys, we're having such a good time talking. We blew right past our second break. So let's get a break in real quick. No, you're not sorry. You're doing great. This is what I want to have happen. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Don and Dennis from Density Blackat. So Dennis and Don and I were just talking about traffic on YouTube. And Dennis, who is familiar with website design, knows all about SEO, which is search engine optimization. So talk to me a little bit about how a channel can end up with over 700,000 subscribers. I mean, what's going on that's happening?
Well, a lot could be. I am not any expertise in that, but people tell me the algorithms are so important, what search engines are looking for.
You gotta tickle the algorithms.
Tickle your algorithms. So, but content is king, I believe, to this day. If you're true to your message, that you're a musical YouTube site and you've got interesting, just give some tags like, hey, I have a garage rock. You put your little tag so search engines can find it. One thing that I fall behind, because as a local band, all of us face this hurdle, is you're not just writing songs and promoting your show. You got to promote your website. You have to promote your YouTube channel. Keep it fresh. So every so often I'm falling behind. I have the same feature video on my website because it's featuring our Dark Star, which is our latest single right now. And it's hovering at the same number. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe I do have to learn more about algorithms, but I just feel it's time. Okay, it has a significant
Dennis,
time.
it's a brave new world out there. I gotta tell you.
So we're embracing it. We're not saying, oh, F this and F that. We're just going as we do. We're focusing what we can do. You have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have Twitter, all this stuff. It's best to focus on maybe one or two that you like yourself to enjoy. You cannot spread yourself way too thin. That's not going to help.
The trick is to get organic traffic. That is the trick. But
that's right.
And again, I was going to ask you guys something, and I just went blank. So my fault.
But it is. This is an.
What I want you guys to do is make sure you have your fans and followers and friends leave comments on the YouTube video. That's really important.
Yes. Yeah. We don't push it too much, but little by little we are.
Things are evolving upward.
Yes.
And,
so this interview is going to turn into a YouTube video.
Wow.
And then it's turning into a podcast, which will be Mark Platt distributing it on radio. But the YouTube video is really important that we get fans and friends leaving comments, because that spurs more people to leave comments, and that's where we get the organic traffic.
Absolutely. Now, when this is done and it's finally on your YouTube page, I'm hoping you'll send us a link for it.
Immediately.
We'll absolutely share that like crazy.
Certainly.
You had touched upon something about what triggers people to respond favorably. They respond to what they like, or what they're curious about, or what they didn't know they liked, but they hear something from their past that they're hearing now in their present. And they start to, and in this computer age, it's easy to do. You just start clicking and you start thinking, and before you know it, hopefully you're found. But the decency of what we're doing, it comes across, the simplicity of what we're doing. And I'm not saying that it's easy to just sit down and write a great song. We're fortunate. We write a lot of good songs, but we try to keep it simple. We don't want to spread. Go out and start doing things that take away from what you're doing. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what we do.
True to yourself. All right, keep it simple, stupid. So hold on a second here. Let me take a look. We're running through time so fast that I'm going to have you guys back to continue the conversation.
Wow, thank you.
Hey, don't you remember speed kills? Slow down.
Yep. Why record live instead of polishing everything in the studio? There's a question for you.
Okay, I can answer in one way. We did have a great EP out, recorded live, get a lot of compliments. We even do get onto some radios and some other places like website, people that have share music. But the sad part was it wasn't what you'd call
it wasn't technically proficient in the recording.
It wasn't in separate tracks.
Well, do you guys think modern production has taken some of the soul out of rock and roll?
Only if you let it. And that's why our recordings have the soul in it, but you have to work at it. You can't be tempted to just let it go full auto on everything. You got to still be working with, ultimately, a great song.
And I've always believed perfection is the enemy of the soul. You know,
We're perfectly, I agree with you. We're perfectly imperfect. Think about
yeah.
that. Yeah. And that's just what you're talking about. We don't want to sound antiseptic. We want to sound that there is an edge in there, which is there because let's face it, we are not like these advanced studio musicians that play by rote. Not us. We work at it, and
Yep.
it's a work in progress.
Yeah, he's
You're a
definitely
blue collar rock band.
Yeah, yeah, and proud of it.
Yeah, damn proud of it.
Yeah.
Brings me back, Buddy Guy. Have you ever heard him sing "Damn Right I Got the Blues"?
Wow.
I have heard him sing that because I listen to the blues channel in my car on Sirius. So Buddy Guy comes up quite often.
Who said
God
that blues
dang, is he
had
a
a baby?
singer?
What was that?
I was just saying he's such a great singer, or was at least in his heyday. Just an outrageously good singer. What were you saying, Dennis? I'm sorry.
Well, earlier talking about blues and rock and roll. Who said that blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll? That's what we're all about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was Muddy Waters.
There was a through line from blues, whether it was Delta blues, then up to the Mississippi to Chicago, and then it jumps the ocean, the pond into England, and those Brits embraced it and reinvented it with
Well, and it gave a second career to guys like Freddie King and Albert King, because when they went over to England, they had huge success.
Yes, I was blessed to have seen Albert King at the Fillmore East 3 different times.
Oh my God.
I love him. And when you talk about Buddy Guy's voice, Albert King's voice is, these guys they were blessed with voices that you cannot duplicate no matter how much we try singing in the mirror.
Absolutely.
You can't sound like that.
Absolutely.
Right.
I have like a good friend of mine years ago. He turned me on because he had an older brother. He knew about a lot of these Delta blues people. He said to me, Dennis, you like these songs that the Stones do. I want you to hear where they got that from.
Where they came from.
He introduced me to Delta blues. I was just knocked out. I never heard this music before.
We were talking about Eric Clapton's Crossroads, and when you compare it to Robert Johnson's version, no, it wasn't Robert Johnson. It was
Robert Johnson.
No, did he do Crossroads? He did Terraplane, but I think one of the other Delta guys did Crossroads. But anyways, the difference between that and what Eric Clapton did with it is just insane.
It's insane. It's insane. But it spoke to generations. You heard it, and your head exploded. We hear it today, and our heads still explode.
I'm a young white suburban kid. I don't know why I fell in love. I identified with it, and so he brings me to a place called Max's Kansas City. It's early 70s.
Mm-hmm.
I was not aware of what was going on at the time at Max's Kansas City. This was before Johnny Thunders and them and New York Dolls even played at Max's. This was a time when it was still an Andy Warhol nightclub type of place. So I get there with my friend to see somebody called Howling Wolf.
Somebody called Howling Wolf.
Yeah, have you ever heard of them? Let me look them up.
I just couldn't believe it. And I told this to somebody that used to book shows. I thought he would be there at that time, but he said, no, that's before my time. I was booking shows around 1977 or whatever. This was 71. And it just knocked me away.
Have you ever heard Howling Wolf do Killing Floor, which Led Zeppelin later did? And Summerlin, who was Howling Wolf's guitar player, God, was he good.
Wow. Yeah. But the thing that, thinking back, they were still obscure. The place wasn't packed when I went to see Howling Wolf. I was sitting in the front row. just mesmerized by this big man. And I still don't know if it was a stage act, but at one point he stops playing and he leans down on towards the floor and the music slows down. And I thought, maybe this is just an act, possibly, but he died, I think, the following year. So it may have been partially a real thing going on with his health. Another time I go to see someone called Lightning Hopkins at Hunter College. Again,
Yeah.
it's not packed. And it was so intimate there that me and my friend, this is right out of Wayne's World, me and my friend sneak into his we sneak into his dressing room and we go, we're not worthy. And he's looking at us like, are you guys for real? We're like, yeah. But he had about 3 nice looking groupies with him. And he said, okay, time to go, boys.
Good story. All right. We're going to, we really don't have time for another break, but what I want to do is get into the Gary Dranow lightning round, where I'm going to shoot out 4 things, and I want quick answers from you guys, and then we're going to wrap this thing up. Favorite NYC band of all time?
Favorite NYC band of all times? I'm going to say Johnny Thunders.
Aha! Didn't expect that.
Yeah. When you talk about a New York City band, because and he was in a lot of different bands. He was in the Dolls, but I'm just going to say Johnny Thunders because he's had a profound influence on everything, including the way I play guitar, the way I play, and the guitars I play, and what he plays.
Yep.
So that's my answer for now.
Yep.
All right, next one. One album you take to a desert island.
While he's thinking, I already have one on the tip of my finger. Can you see that? Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars.
What a great freaking album.
The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. Yeah.
What that is, I listened to that so much when I was coming up, I can't tell you. And what was the name of the guitar player?
Mick Ronson.
Mick Ronson, right. God,
my hero. Mick Ronson.
Best live show you ever saw?
I'm gonna tell you because somebody
he has a better memory.
I've been to a lot of concerts over the years. One of the best, it's never the best, but one of the best, I'm gonna tell you 2, was David Bowie at Radio City when Ziggy Stardust album was just out and they played there. And that was the first rock show that they allowed at Radio City, which is a magnificent venue, 6,000 seat, and it's beautiful. And so I got to see my hero, Mick Ronson, right there. And there was they was just the 4 of them, a 4-piece band on stage playing. Yeah, they were wearing the platform boots and the shiny outfits and the orange hair and all that. But seeing Mick Ronson play Moon Age Daydream live back when that was new.
Right.
Crazy. The other show that was one of my favorites was when the first Led Zeppelin album came out. Think about that. I'm at the Fillmore East in the 3rd row, and there's Jimmy Page with his Les Paul down on his knee.
Yeah, down around his knees. Yeah.
And there he is playing the opening to Dazed and Confused, which we had just recently been heard with that wailing guitar. And I'm sitting there. And I'm standing there. We were at that point, we're all standing, looking and go, what are we hearing? This is like, it took us a long time to wrap our heads around just how powerful that was. And look at it, 50 years later, it still sounds great. And it's still their best record they ever made.
He reminded me, I'll say very quickly, I saw Jimi Hendrix right up front.
There you go.
Oh my God. That's probably my best of all shows I've ever seen.
That's a good one.
It blew me away.
I saw Jimi Hendrix in Chatsworth, Devonshire Downs in Chatsworth, Los Angeles area, the Valley, San Fernando Valley, and I was right up front and just freaking amazed.
Amazing, right?
Song you wish you wrote.
A song we wish we wrote.
Wow. I kind of love that song by Leonard Cohen, Hallelujah.
That's a good one.
This is a good one. Everybody and their mothers has covered that.
I would say Bob Dylan's "Don't Think Twice."
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
You know, and again, one of these songs can be 30 of his songs, and you know,
Yeah.
but that song, if I had written that song, I'd put my guitar down and go take a nap and think I did a good day's work forever.
Wow.
Uh-huh. All right, guys, we have come to the end of the show. Absolutely, leave people that are watching this, leave comments below. I'm going to get the band to respond. And tap the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave the comment. I read every one, and I will make sure the band is involved. And be sure to check the description below the video, because there'll be links to the band. You're going to have to give me your website and all your
Yeah, we'll give you all that.
all your socials, so I can get that in the description of the video. And this has been a great time with Don and Dennis of Density Blackat.
Thank you so much, Gary.
Thank you on behalf of all of us in the band, and we appreciate it. And parting is such sweet sorrow.
All right, hold on.